The night shift at the Global Defense Initiative's monitoring station was usually quiet, filled with routine checks and the soft hum of equipment. But tonight was different. The main control room buzzed with an unusual energy as Dr. Aisha Kumar leaned closer to her screen, her coffee forgotten and growing cold beside her keyboard. "This can't be right," she whispered, adjusting her glasses as she double-checked the readings. The energy signatures pulsing across her monitor were unlike anything she'd seen in her 15 years of atmospheric research. They danced and swirled in patterns that defied natural phenomena, forming what looked like a spiral of light in the upper atmosphere. She quickly cross-referenced the data with other monitoring stations. Jakarta was seeing it. Moscow too. Even the remote station in Antarctica was picking up the same bizarre energy patterns. This wasn't a glitch or a solar flare. This was something entirely new. The room fell silent as Aisha projected the readings onto the main screen. Her colleagues gathered around, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of the mysterious data streams. "Look at how these energy patterns are repeating," she pointed out, her finger tracing the rhythmic pulses. "They're too precise to be natural. Too organized." Ramstein, her longtime research partner, pulled up theoretical models they'd studied years ago. "Remember that paper we reviewed about potential wormhole signatures?" His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly as he brought up the comparison charts. "The mathematical pattern is almost identical." The realization hit the room like a physical force. These weren't just random energy fluctuations. They matched exactly what scientists had theorized a wormhole would look like forming in Earth's atmosphere. Years of studying potential extraterrestrial contact scenarios suddenly didn't feel theoretical anymore. Aisha's fingers flew across her keyboard, sending urgent alerts to military commands worldwide. The automated response system, designed for just such discoveries, began lighting up phones and computers across the globe. Within minutes, the quiet research station transformed into the epicenter of Earth's most important scientific discovery. Security teams rushed in, their boots echoing through the normally peaceful halls. Military officials connected through video calls, their faces grave as they absorbed the implications. Aisha explained her findings over and over, each time making it clearer that this was no drill or false alarm. "The energy signatures are growing stronger," Ram reported, his eyes fixed on the real-time data. "Whatever's causing this, it's getting closer." The patterns were intensifying, creating visible disturbances that weather satellites were now picking up. Aurora-like lights appeared in skies around the world, but these weren't the familiar northern lights. They pulsed with purpose, with intention. As dawn broke over the monitoring station, Aisha stood at the window, watching the strange lights dance across the sky. Behind her, the control room had become a command center filled with military personnel, scientists, and government officials all trying to prepare for what might come next. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her family asking if she was okay. News was spreading, despite attempts to keep it quiet. Amateur astronomers had noticed the lights, and social media was buzzing with theories. The world could feel that something was changing. "Dr. Kumar," a voice called from across the room. "The Defense Council is requesting your presence in their emergency session." She nodded, gathering her tablets and data drives. As she headed for the door, she paused to look one more time at the main screen, where the energy patterns continued their mesmerizing dance. The theories she'd worked on for years, the possibilities she'd only dreamed about in late-night research sessions, were becoming reality. Humanity's first contact with something beyond Earth wasn't just coming, it was already here, announcing itself in waves of energy that rippled through our atmosphere. As she walked to the briefing room, Aisha thought about how this discovery would change everything. Not just science or military strategy, but the very way humans saw themselves in the universe. The next few hours would reshape human history forever, and she was right at the heart of it. Little did she know, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a secret project was about to prove more important than anyone could have imagined. But for now, all eyes were on the sky, watching and waiting to see what would emerge from those mysterious, shimmering patterns above. The morning sky erupted in a display that no one on Earth would ever forget. It started with a ripple, like someone had dropped a stone into a pond made of clouds. Then, one by one, massive circular portals opened in the atmosphere, their edges glowing with an otherworldly blue light. Through each portal emerged ships, enormous vessels that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. "Multiple contacts, all sectors," shouted Lieutenant Raj Patel from his station at Global Defense Command. His hands moved swiftly across the holographic display, tracking each new arrival. The room, usually a model of military discipline, filled with gasps and murmurs as more ships continued to appear. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood at the center of the command floor, her face illuminated by the emergency lights that had automatically activated. She'd trained for countless scenarios, but nothing quite like this. The alien vessels positioned themselves in a precise formation that spoke of advanced military coordination. "They're surrounding every major city," reported Captain Lin Wei from the Asian Pacific Command. His voice crackled over the comm system as real-time footage showed the massive ships taking position. Beijing, Tokyo, New York, London, they're establishing a presence over all population centers. The first transmission came without warning. Every screen, every device capable of receiving a signal, lit up with the same message. The aliens called themselves the Meridian Fleet, and their message was diplomatically worded, but left no room for negotiation. Earth's resources were now under their protection and control. "Protection," Admiral Tanaka muttered, her eyes narrowing. "That's a nice way of saying invasion." She turned to her communications officer. "Get me every military commander who can still receive our signal. We need a coordinated response, and we need it now." The next hour was a blur of activity. Military bases worldwide scrambled their forces, but everyone knew conventional weapons would be useless against ships of that size. The Meridian Fleet hung in the sky like metal mountains, their hulls reflecting sunlight in ways that made them seem almost beautiful, if they weren't so terrifying. In underground bunkers and secret facilities, world leaders gathered in emergency sessions. The usual political divisions melted away in the face of this common threat. Old enemies found themselves sharing intelligence, pooling resources, and planning together for humanity's survival. "They're scanning us," Dr. Aisha Kumar reported from her station, watching as waves of energy pulsed from the alien ships. Every frequency, every wavelength, they're gathering data about everything on Earth. Her team worked frantically to understand the technology they were facing, knowing that each piece of information could be crucial for survival. The public reaction ranged from panic to eerie calm. In some cities, people flooded the streets, looking up at the massive ships with a mixture of fear and awe. In others, they huddled in their homes, glued to news broadcasts that could offer little more than speculation. Admiral Tanaka received the call she'd been dreading. The Meridian Fleet had given Earth 6 hours to formally surrender control of its resources. After that, they would begin what they called resource security operations. Everyone knew what that really meant. "We're not going down without a fight," she declared to the assembled command staff. "Humanity has faced impossible odds before. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own worst tendencies. We'll survive this too." As she spoke, a secure message flashed across her private screen. It was from a classified facility deep under the Pacific Ocean, marked with the highest level of secrecy. The message contained just 4 words: "Hurricane Heart is combat ready." A slight smile crossed her face, the first one since the invasion began. The Meridian Fleet might have superior technology and overwhelming force, but they didn't know everything about Earth's defenses. In their arrogance, they'd assumed humanity would be helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As the massive alien ships cast their shadows over Earth's cities, a small team of engineers and scientists made final preparations on humanity's secret weapon. Deep beneath the waves, power systems hummed to life, and crew members rushed to their stations. The next few hours would determine the fate of the human race. But unlike the Meridian Fleet's commanders, Admiral Tanaka knew something they didn't. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or technology, but in its ability to unite and innovate when pushed to the brink. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, hidden from even the most advanced satellite systems, lay humanity's greatest secret. The massive underwater facility buzzed with activity as blast doors slid open, revealing the true heart of Earth's defense program, the HMS Hurricane Heart. "Power systems at 90% and rising," called out Engineer Raj Singh, his voice echoing through the ship's central control room. The battleship's core hummed with energy, creating a deep vibration that resonated through the entire hull. Years of secret development were about to be put to the ultimate test. Lieutenant Mei Wang watched in awe as the ship's weather manipulation systems came online for the first time at full power. Artificial lightning crackled between containment rods, controlled by advanced computers that could direct the raw force of nature itself. The technology seemed almost magical, but it was pure science. Humanity's greatest minds had found a way to harness the power of storms. "I still can't believe we kept this hidden for so long," she whispered to her colleague. The Hurricane Heart was massive, easily the size of an aircraft carrier, but sleeker and more advanced than anything the public had ever seen. Its hull gleamed with a special alloy designed to channel atmospheric energy, making it look almost alive. Dr. Kumar's research team had spent years integrating their weather control technology with conventional weapon systems. Now, as they prepared for the ship's emergency deployment, those countless hours of work were about to face their greatest challenge. "All hands to battle stations," boomed the announcement system. Crew members rushed through the corridors, each heading to their assigned posts. They were the best of the best, chosen from navies around the world, and sworn to absolute secrecy. Until today, only a handful of people knew this ship even existed. In the ship's massive engine room, Chief Engineer Tanaka performed final checks on the storm core, the revolutionary power system that could generate and control weather patterns. "It's beautiful," she said, watching the energy patterns swirl within the containment chamber, like having a piece of the sky trapped in a bottle. The launch bay's massive doors began to open, letting in the deep ocean darkness. Support staff cleared the area as the Hurricane Heart's engines powered up, creating currents that swirled through the underwater base. This would be their only chance. If the ship failed, humanity had no backup plan. "Final systems check complete," reported Officer Chen from his station. On screens around the bridge, status indicators turned green one by one. The ship's innovative design combined traditional naval warfare capabilities with something entirely new: the ability to create and control localized weather systems as both weapon and shield. Commander Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching his crew prepare for launch. They had trained for this moment in simulations, but nothing could truly prepare them for what they were about to attempt. "Remember," he addressed his crew, "we're not just fighting for our countries anymore. We're fighting for every human being on Earth." The ship's advanced sensors were already tracking the Meridian Fleet's movements above. The alien vessels had no idea what was about to emerge from the depths below them. The element of surprise might be their only advantage. "Storm core stable at maximum power," reported Engineer Singh. The ship's unique power system could generate everything from targeted lightning strikes to complete hurricanes, all controlled with precision that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. As final launch preparations were made, crew members couldn't help but feel the weight of history on their shoulders. The Hurricane Heart represented the best of human innovation, science and engineering pushed to their absolute limits, all in service of protecting Earth. "All stations report ready," announced Lieutenant Wang. The massive vessel hummed with power, its systems fully armed and operational. Years of secret development, countless hours of testing, and the combined efforts of the world's best scientists had led to this moment. Commander Rodriguez took one final look around his bridge. His crew was ready, their faces showing determination rather than fear. They knew what was at stake. "Launch sequence initiated," he ordered. "It's time to show our visitors what humanity is capable of." The underwater base's lights dimmed as the Hurricane Heart drew power for its launch. Deep beneath the Pacific, humanity's secret weapon was about to reveal itself to the world. The next few minutes would prove whether this incredible ship could live up to its promise, and whether Earth stood any chance against the overwhelming force above. The Hurricane Heart rose through the ocean depths like a ghost from the abyss. Water cascaded off its massive hull as the ship broke the surface, sending waves rolling in all directions. On the bridge, Captain Rin Nakamura gripped the command rail tightly, watching as her crew worked to stabilize the vessel's revolutionary systems. "Storm core fluctuating," Lieutenant Wang called out, her fingers dancing across the control panel. The ship's unique power source pulsed with energy, creating small lightning storms that crackled along the hull. "We need to balance the atmospheric intake before we can generate a proper defensive shield." The crew had trained for months in simulators, but nothing could have prepared them for the reality of controlling a ship that could manipulate weather itself. Every system was interconnected, each adjustment affecting the delicate balance of the whole vessel. "Alien scouts approaching from the northwest," reported Officer Singh from the radar station. His voice remained steady, but sweat beaded on his forehead. "3 vessels, moving fast. They must have detected our emergence." Captain Nakamura's mind raced through their options. The Hurricane Heart's conventional weapons were state-of-the-art, but their real power lay in the weather control systems they hadn't yet mastered in actual combat conditions. "Begin evasive maneuvers," she ordered, "and get that storm shield operational. We need protection before they reach weapons range." The massive ship turned with surprising grace, its advanced propulsion systems allowing it to move like a vessel half its size. In the engineering section, Chief Tanaka and her team worked frantically to stabilize the storm core. "It's like trying to bottle a hurricane," she muttered, making minute adjustments to the power flow. "Too much power and we'll tear ourselves apart. Too little and we're defenseless." The first alien scout ship appeared on the horizon, its sleek form cutting through the clouds. It was smaller than the main fleet's vessels, but still packed enough firepower to level a city. The crew of the Hurricane Heart watched their approaching enemy with a mixture of fear and determination. "Storm shield at 60%, Lieutenant Wong announced. Above the ship, clouds began to gather and swirl, forming a protective canopy. Lightning danced between the clouds, creating a barrier of pure electrical energy. It wasn't perfect, but it would have to do. The alien vessel fired its first shot, a beam of intense energy that cut through the air toward them. Captain Nakamura held her breath, watching as the blast hit their storm shield. The lightning-filled clouds absorbed most of the impact, dispersing the energy in a spectacular display of light and sound. "Shield holding," cheered Officer Chen from his station. The weather barrier actually worked. A small celebration rippled through the bridge crew, but they knew this was just the beginning. "Time to show them what else this ship can do," Captain Nakamura said, a slight smile crossing her face. "Target the lead vessel with a focused lightning strike. Let's see how their shields handle Earth's natural defenses." The Hurricane Heart's weather control systems sprang into action. Above the alien scout, clouds gathered into a tight spiral. With pinpoint accuracy, a massive bolt of lightning struck down, overwhelming the scout's shields and sending it veering off course. "Direct hit," Officer Singh called out. Their electrical systems appear damaged. "They're pulling back." The crew cheered again, louder this time. They had just proven that humanity could fight back. But their celebration was short-lived. The other 2 scout ships were already adjusting their attack patterns, and behind them, larger vessels from the main fleet were moving to investigate. The real battle was just beginning. "All hands, battle stations," Captain Nakamura commanded. This was just a test run. Now we show them everything this ship can do. Throughout the vessel, crew members rushed to their posts, their earlier nervousness replaced with growing confidence. The Hurricane Heart sailed forward, gathering storm clouds around it like a cloak. They might be outnumbered and outgunned by conventional standards, but they had something the aliens hadn't counted on: humanity's ability to turn nature itself into a weapon. As more alien ships appeared on the horizon, Captain Nakamura felt a strange calm settle over her. They had trained for this, prepared for this moment. The fate of Earth might rest on their shoulders, but the crew of the Hurricane Heart was ready to show the universe what humans were truly capable of. The waters of the Mariana Trench churned as the Hurricane Heart faced its first real battle against the Meridian Fleet. Captain Nakamura watched as 3 massive alien warships descended from the clouds, their hull designs unlike anything ever seen on Earth. "Multiple energy signatures detected," called out Lieutenant Wong, her voice tight with tension. "They're charging weapons." The alien vessels' hulls began to glow with an eerie purple light, preparing to unleash their full power. "Now we see what this ship can really do," Captain Nakamura said, her voice steady despite the pressure. "Initiate Storm Protocol Alpha. Let's show them why we named this ship Hurricane Heart." The ship's core hummed to life, its revolutionary technology drawing energy from the atmosphere itself. Above them, clouds began swirling into a massive vortex, darkness gathering like nature's own weapon. Lightning crackled between the clouds, creating a dazzling display of raw power. Storm core at maximum output. Chief Engineer Tanaka reported from below decks. The atmospheric matrix is stable. We can sustain this for 12 minutes before we need to recharge. The first alien vessel fired, sending a beam of concentrated energy toward the Earth ship. But this time, the Hurricane Heart was ready. The storm shield absorbed the blast, the energy dispersing harmlessly through the artificial hurricane they'd created. Return fire, ordered Captain Nakamura. Target their propulsion systems with concentrated lightning strikes. The ship's weather control systems responded instantly. Bolts of lightning, far more powerful than anything nature could produce, struck the lead alien vessel. Its shields flickered and failed, unable to cope with the raw power of Earth's weather. Direct hit. Officer Chen shouted over the rumble of thunder. Their rear shields are down. The crew watched in amazement as their lightning attacks left scorch marks across the alien ship's hull. But the Meridian fleet wasn't easily defeated. The other two ships split apart, trying to flank the Hurricane Heart. Their weapons charged, preparing for a coordinated strike that could overwhelm even their storm shield. "They're trying to surround us," Lieutenant Wong reported, her hands flying over the controls, storm shield power dropping to 60%. Captain Nakamura smiled slightly. "Exactly what we wanted. Initiate Tempest Trap Maneuver." The Hurricane Heart's crew moved with perfect coordination, the result of countless hours of training. The ship's weather control systems created a second, smaller storm system behind them, then a third. Soon they had formed a triangle of miniature hurricanes. Storm stable, called Engineer Singh. Energy web is forming. Lightning began to arc between the three storm systems, creating a web of electrical energy. The alien ships, now caught between these artificial storms, found their own energy weapons being attracted and dispersed by the lightning network. "Their weapons are useless inside the energy web," Officer Chen reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "The storms are actually feeding off their energy attacks." The alien vessels tried to retreat, but the Hurricane Heart storms had created powerful wind currents, making movement difficult. One ship's engines flared as it fought against the gale force winds, only to be struck by multiple lightning bolts. "First enemy vessel disabled," Lieutenant Wong announced. Second showing critical damage to their power systems. The third alien ship, perhaps realizing the danger, attempted to climb above the storm system, but Captain Nakamura was ready for this too. "Extend the storm ceiling. Don't let them escape." The artificial hurricanes grew taller, their clouds reaching up into the upper atmosphere. More lightning struck, this time from above, forcing the alien vessel back down into the trap. "They're retreating," Officer Chen called out. "All three vessels are withdrawing to a safe distance." The bridge crew cheered, but Captain Nakamura remained focused. "Maintain battle stations. This was just their first attack force. They'll be back with reinforcements, and now they know what we can do." She looked at her crew, seeing the mixture of pride and determination on their faces. The Hurricane Heart had proven itself in its first major engagement, but this was just the beginning. The Meridian fleet would adapt, learn from this defeat. Next time, they'd be ready for Earth's weather-based weapons. "Get me a damage report," she ordered, "and begin recharging the storm core. We've shown them what we can do. Now we need to prepare for their response." Red alert sirens blared across coastal cities worldwide as the Meridian fleet launched their massive counterattack. The Hurricane Heart raced through choppy waters, pushing its engines to their limit as reports of alien landings flooded in from every continent. "Sydney under attack," Officer Chen called out, his voice tight with urgency. Mumbai and Singapore reporting multiple hostile ships entering their airspace. The tactical display showed dozens of red dots descending toward Earth's major coastal populations. Captain Nakamura studied the global map, her mind racing through possibilities. "We can't be everywhere at once," she said, "but we can make them think twice about these attacks." "Lieutenant Wong, status of our storm core." "Fully charged and ready, Captain," Wong replied, her fingers hovering over the weather control systems. "The last battle taught us how to manage the power more efficiently. We can maintain multiple storm systems for longer periods now." The massive ship cut through the waves, heading toward the nearest conflict zone. Above them, alien vessels were positioning themselves for an assault on Shanghai's coastline. Millions of lives hung in the balance. New discovery from the science team. Chief Engineer Tanaka's voice crackled over the intercom. The aliens' shield technology shows unusual vulnerabilities to specific electromagnetic frequencies, the same kind our lightning strikes naturally generate. This was the advantage they needed. Captain Nakamura straightened in her command chair. Program all storm systems to match those frequencies. We're going to give them a light show they won't forget. The Hurricane Heart's weather manipulation systems sprang to life, drawing moisture from the ocean and energy from the atmosphere. Within minutes, dark clouds began forming around the alien assault force. But this time, the storms were different, more focused, more precise. Multiple storm systems forming, Lieutenant Wong reported, energy signatures aligned to target frequencies. The first lightning strikes hit with surgical precision, cutting through the alien shields like they weren't even there. Several hostile ships veered off course, their systems disrupted by the perfectly tuned electromagnetic pulses. "It's working," Officer Singh exclaimed. "Their shields are failing faster than before." The crew watched as their refined attack strategy proved devastatingly effective. But the Meridian fleet wasn't going down without a fight. More ships appeared, adapting their approach to avoid the worst of the storms. They began launching landing craft, smaller, faster vessels designed to slip through Earth's defenses. "They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers," Captain Nakamura observed. "Initiate wide-range storm defense pattern. Protect those civilians at all costs." The Hurricane Heart's technology proved its worth again, creating a massive wall of storms along the coastline. Lightning struck from multiple angles, creating a natural barrier that the alien landing craft couldn't penetrate. Those that tried found themselves caught in violent updrafts or struck by precision lightning bolts. "Civilian evacuation protocols in progress," reported Officer Chen. "Local defense forces are getting people to safety while we hold the line." Hour after hour, the battle raged on. The Hurricane Heart moved from city to city, leaving protective storm systems in its wake. Each engagement taught them more about their enemy's weaknesses, and each victory gave Earth's defenders valuable time to evacuate civilians and strengthen their positions. "Captain," Lieutenant Wong called out suddenly. "The aliens are pulling back from coastal areas. They're regrouping at higher altitudes." The bridge crew watched as the Meridian fleet's ships retreated to safer distances. Their first attempt at a mass invasion had failed, thanks to the Hurricane Heart's revolutionary technology and its crew's determination. But Captain Nakamura knew better than to celebrate too early. "They're not giving up," she said, studying the enemy's new formation. "They're adapting, learning. Next time they'll have countermeasures for our storms." She turned to her crew, seeing the exhaustion on their faces after hours of intense combat. "Good work, everyone. But this isn't over. Get some rest while you can, repair any damage, and recharge our systems. The Meridian fleet will be back, and we need to be ready with some new tricks of our own." The Hurricane Heart sailed through waters now calm after the massive battle, its wake stirring up white-capped waves. They had won this round, protecting millions of lives in the process. But everyone aboard knew that the alien forces would return, stronger and better prepared. The real test of Earth's defenders was still to come. Deep within the Hurricane Heart's engineering section, Chief Engineer Tanaka wiped sweat from her forehead as she studied the storm core's readings. The battle-worn crew had been working non-stop for hours, pushing the ship's revolutionary technology to its absolute limits. "Look at these energy patterns," she said, pointing to the swirling display. Her team gathered around, their faces illuminated by the core's pulsing blue light. "The storm systems we've been generating are actually getting stronger each time we use them." Lieutenant Wong's voice crackled over the intercom from the bridge. "Engineering, we've got a problem. The Meridian fleet is deploying their planetary siege weapons. Our current storm shields won't be enough to stop them." The news sent a chill through the engineering bay. Everyone had seen the simulations of what those alien weapons could do. Entire cities could be vaporized in seconds. Their previous victories would mean nothing if they couldn't find a way to counter this new threat. "Wait," Engineer Singh said suddenly, pointing to a particular set of readings. "The core's been adapting to our power demands. What if we could amplify its output? Create a superstorm unlike anything we've tried before?" Chief Tanaka's eyes lit up with understanding. "It's risky," she said, already running calculations, "but it might be our only chance. We'll need to modify the containment systems. The power levels would be off the charts." The engineering team sprang into action, their exhaustion forgotten in the rush of new purpose. They worked with practiced efficiency, rewiring systems, and reinforcing power conduits. Every minute counted as reports came in of alien siege weapons moving into position around the globe. "Captain," Tanaka called the bridge, "we have a plan, but it's never been tested. We're going to try to create a super intense atmospheric vortex, something powerful enough to disrupt their entire fleet formation." Captain Nakamura's response was immediate. "Do it. Whatever resources you need, they're yours. Just tell me what position you need the ship in." The next hour was a blur of activity. The engineering team pushed themselves to their limits, modifying systems that were already operating at the edge of their design specifications. Warning alarms blared as they bypassed safety protocols, but there was no time for caution. "Power core modifications complete," Tanaka reported, her voice tense but steady. "We're ready to begin the sequence. But Captain, once we start this, we won't be able to stop it until it runs its course. The energy levels are too high." "Understood," came the captain's reply. "All hands, prepare for extreme weather conditions. This is what we've trained for." The Hurricane Heart moved into position, its hull gleaming under dark skies. Above them, the Meridian Fleet's siege weapons began to power up, their massive forms casting shadows over the ocean below. "Initiating superstorm sequence," Engineer Singh announced. The ship's core began to pulse with unprecedented power, drawing in massive amounts of atmospheric energy. The ocean around them started to churn, waves growing larger by the second. Lightning crackled across the sky in patterns never seen before in nature. The clouds above began to spin, forming a vortex that grew larger and more intense with each passing moment. The ship's hull creaked under the strain of channeling so much power. "Storm system is self-sustaining," Tanaka called out, her voice barely audible over the roar of wind and thunder. "It's working better than we hoped. The vortex is disrupting their fleet's formation." Through the observation windows, they could see alien ships struggling against the intense winds. Their formation began to break apart as the super intense storm forced them to redirect power to their stabilizers. "Their siege weapons are offline." Lieutenant Wang's excited voice came through the speakers. "The electromagnetic interference is too strong. They can't maintain their targeting systems." The Hurricane Heart rode at the center of the massive storm, its modified systems handling the incredible power flowing through them. The crew watched in awe as their desperate gamble paid off, forcing the mighty Meridian Fleet to retreat to higher altitudes. But victory came with a price. Warning lights flashed throughout engineering as systems began to overload under the unprecedented strain. The storm-caused containment fields flickered dangerously. "We can't maintain this level of power much longer," Tanaka warned, her hands flying over control panels. "We either shut it down now, or we risk losing everything." Yet even as the warning alarms blared, the engineering team couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had pushed Earth's technology beyond its limits and proved that humanity could stand against any threat, even if it meant reaching into the sky and commanding the fury of nature itself. The moment had come for humanity's final stand. The Hurricane Heart led Earth's remaining naval forces toward the Meridian Fleet's massive command ship. Thunder rolled across the sky as Captain Nakamura addressed her crew through the ship's communication system. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this," she said, her voice steady and clear. "We've proven our storms can break their defenses. Now we end this invasion once and for all." The fleet behind them was impressive: submarines, destroyers, and aircraft carriers from every nation on Earth. But the real power lay in the Hurricane Heart's weather control systems, now modified and strengthened through battle experience. "Enemy forces responding to our approach," Lieutenant Wang reported from her station. "They're moving to protect their command ship." The massive alien vessel hung in the sky like a metal mountain, surrounded by its protective fleet. Chief Engineer Tanaka's voice came up from below decks. "Storm Core is ready, Captain. We've integrated everything we learned from the last battle. The containment fields are holding steady." The plan was bold, perhaps even crazy. They would create the largest controlled hurricane in human history, using it to trap the alien command ship while Earth's combined forces launched their attack. All ships, battle positions, Captain Nakamura ordered. The human fleet spread out in a practiced formation as the hurricane heart began gathering power. Above them, clouds swirled and darkened, responding to the ship's weather control systems. The Meridian fleet struck first, their energy weapons lighting up the sky. But they were met with a coordinated response that would have been impossible just days ago. Earth's ships moved in perfect sync, protected by carefully positioned storm shields. Beginning main storm sequence, Officer Chen announced. The Hurricane Heart's core hummed with power as it drew energy from the atmosphere. Lightning crackled between clouds that spun faster and faster, forming a massive vortex. The alien command ship attempted to rise above the growing storm, but the Hurricane Heart's crew was ready. They had learned from every previous encounter, and now they used that knowledge to predict and counter their enemies' moves. Targeting their primary shield generators, Lieutenant Wong called out. Concentrated lightning strikes hit the alien vessel's weak points, guided by data from their earlier battles. The massive ship's defenses flickered under the assault. But the Meridian Fleet commander wasn't about to go down easily. Enemy fighters swarmed toward the Hurricane Heart, trying to break through their storm shield. The battle became a dance of lightning and energy weapons, with both sides pushing their technology to the limit. Their shields are adapting, Officer Singh warned. We need more power to break through. The alien command ship was learning, its defensive systems shifting to resist their attacks. Captain Nakamura made a quick decision. Initiate Lightning Storm Protocol Omega. Everything we've got. Hit them now. The Hurricane Heart's storm core pulsed with brilliant blue light as it channeled unprecedented power. The sky above became a canvas of electrical energy, with lightning bolts thick as buildings striking from every direction. Earth's conventional forces seized their moment, launching a coordinated assault while the alien shields were overwhelmed. Missiles and energy weapons struck home as the massive hurricane kept the enemy fleet trapped in their kill zone. Direct hit on their command center. Lieutenant Wong shouted over the thunder. The alien vessel's main tower erupted in a cascade of explosions, its mighty hull beginning to list to one side. But victory wasn't guaranteed yet. The Meridian Fleet commander's voice boomed across all frequencies, speaking directly to the Hurricane Heart's bridge. You fought well, humans. But this ends now. The command ship's weapons began charging for what looked like a final devastating attack. Captain Nakamura stood from her chair, her eyes locked on the tactical display. No, she said firmly. This ends on our terms. All power to the Storm Core. Show them what Earth can really do. The Hurricane Heart systems responded with a display of power that would be remembered for generations. The ship channeled every bit of energy it could muster, creating a storm that dwarfed anything seen before. The alien command ship found itself caught in a vortex of wind and lightning that no technology could withstand. As the massive vessel began to break apart under the onslaught, the rest of the Meridian fleet fell into disarray. Without their commander's coordination, their formation collapsed, leaving them vulnerable to Earth's counterattack. What had started as humanity's desperate last stand had become something else entirely, proof that Earth would never bow to invasion, no matter how advanced the enemy might be. The Hurricane Heart had shown the galaxy that sometimes the oldest forces of nature, guided by human ingenuity, could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. The moment had come for humanity's final stand. The Hurricane Heart led Earth's remaining naval forces toward the Meridian Fleet's massive command ship. Thunder rolled across the sky as Captain Nakamura addressed her crew through the ship's communication system. Everything we fought for comes down to this, she said, her voice steady and clear. We've proven our storms can break their defenses. Now we end this invasion once and for all. The fleet behind them was impressive, submarines, destroyers, and aircraft carriers from every nation on Earth. But the real power lay in the Hurricane Heart's weather control systems, now modified and strengthened through battle experience. Enemy forces responding to our approach, Lieutenant Wong reported from her station, they moving to protect their command ship. The massive alien vessel hung in the sky like a metal mountain, surrounded by its protective fleet. Chief Engineer Tanaka's voice came up from below decks. Storm Core is ready, Captain. We've integrated everything we learned from the last battle. The containment fields are holding steady. The plan was bold, perhaps even crazy. They would create the largest controlled hurricane in human history, using it to trap the alien command ship while Earth's combined forces launched their attack. All ships, battle positions, Captain Nakamura ordered. The human fleet spread out in a practiced formation as the hurricane heart began gathering power. Above them, clouds swirled and darkened, responding to the ship's weather control systems. The Meridian fleet struck first, their energy weapons lighting up the sky. But they were met with a coordinated response that would have been impossible just days ago. Earth's ships moved in perfect sync, protected by carefully positioned storm shields. Beginning main storm sequence, Officer Chen announced. The Hurricane Heart's core hummed with power as it drew energy from the atmosphere. Lightning crackled between clouds that spun faster and faster, forming a massive vortex. The alien command ship attempted to rise above the growing storm, but the Hurricane Heart's crew was ready. They had learned from every previous encounter, and now they used that knowledge to predict and counter their enemies' moves. Targeting their primary shield generators, Lieutenant Wong called out. Concentrated lightning strikes hit the alien vessel's weak points, guided by data from their earlier battles. The massive ship's defenses flickered under the assault. But the Meridian Fleet commander wasn't about to go down easily. Enemy fighters swarmed toward the Hurricane Heart, trying to break through their storm shield. The battle became a dance of lightning and energy weapons, with both sides pushing their technology to the limit. Their shields are adapting, Officer Singh warned. We need more power to break through. The alien command ship was learning, its defensive systems shifting to resist their attacks. Captain Nakamura made a quick decision. Initiate Lightning Storm Protocol Omega. Everything we've got, hit them now. The Hurricane Heart's storm core pulsed with brilliant blue light as it channeled unprecedented power. The sky above became a canvas of electrical energy, with lightning bolts thick as buildings striking from every direction. Earth's conventional forces seized their moment, launching a coordinated assault while the alien shields were overwhelmed. Missiles and energy weapons struck home as the massive hurricane kept the enemy fleet trapped in their kill zone. Direct hit on their command center. Lieutenant Wong shouted over the thunder. The alien vessel's main tower erupted in a cascade of explosions, its mighty hull beginning to list to one side. But victory wasn't guaranteed yet. The Meridian Fleet commander's voice boomed across all frequencies, speaking directly to the Hurricane Heart's bridge. You fought well, humans, but this ends now. The command ship's weapons began charging for what looked like a final devastating attack. Captain Nakamura stood from her chair, her eyes locked on the tactical display. No, she said firmly. This ends on our terms. All power to the Storm Core. Show them what Earth can really do. The Hurricane Heart's systems responded with a display of power that would be remembered for generations. The ship channeled every bit of energy it could muster, creating a storm that dwarfed anything seen before. The alien command ship found itself caught in a vortex of wind and lightning that no technology could withstand. As the massive vessel began to break apart under the onslaught, the rest of the Meridian fleet fell into disarray. Without their commander's coordination, their formation collapsed, leaving them vulnerable to Earth's counterattack. What had started as humanity's desperate last stand had become something else entirely, proof that Earth would never bow to invasion, no matter how advanced the enemy might be. The Hurricane Heart had shown the galaxy that sometimes the oldest forces of nature, guided by human ingenuity, could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. Sunrise painted the sky in brilliant colors as the Meridian Fleet's remaining ships retreated through their wormholes. The Hurricane Heart floated proudly among Earth's combined naval forces, its storm-scoured hull gleaming in the morning light. After days of intense battle, humanity had achieved what many thought impossible: victory against an advanced alien invasion. They're really leaving, Lieutenant Wong said softly, watching the last alien vessels disappear into the shimmering portals. The bridge crew stood in peaceful silence, almost unable to believe what they had accomplished. Captain Nakamura looked around at her exhausted but proud crew. Send word to all Earth defense commands. The Meridian Fleet has withdrawn. We've won. Her voice carried the weight of their achievement, but also the knowledge of how much this victory had cost. Cheers erupted from cities around the world as the news spread. People poured into the streets, celebrating humanity's first unified victory against an extraterrestrial threat. The sight of the Hurricane Heart's artificial storms had become a symbol of hope and resistance. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Tanaka and her team were already analyzing data from their battles. The Storm Corps performed beyond all expectations, she reported to the bridge. What we learned about weather control during this crisis, it's going to change everything. The ship's revolutionary technology had proven itself beyond doubt. More than that, it had shown that humanity could stand together against any threat. Nations that were once rivals had fought side by side, protecting Earth as one united force. Multiple requests coming in from Global Command, Officer Chen announced. They want to begin building more ships like ours. The Hurricane Heart is being called the prototype for Earth's new defense fleet. Captain Nakamura nodded, understanding the significance. The knowledge and experience they'd gained would help protect Earth far into the future. Already, plans were being made to establish a permanent Earth defense force, with the Hurricane Heart as its flagship. Engineering teams worldwide are studying our weather control systems, Lieutenant Wong added. They're talking about peaceful applications too, helping prevent natural disasters, managing climate patterns. This technology could help humanity in ways we never imagined. The crew gathered in the main hall for a special ceremony. Representatives from nations around the world had come to honor the ship and its crew. The Hurricane Heart's success had changed more than just military strategy. It had shown what humanity could achieve when united by a common cause. The Meridian Fleet taught us something important, Captain Nakamura said in her address. We learned that Earth's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or technology. It's in our ability to stand together, to face any challenge with courage and innovation. As she spoke, the ship's sensors detected something new. Strange energy patterns, different from the Meridian Fleet's signatures, appeared briefly at the edge of the solar system before vanishing. It seemed Earth's victory had caught the attention of other civilizations out among the stars. We're no longer alone in the universe, Officer Singh observed, studying the readings. But thanks to what we achieved here, we're ready for whatever comes next. The Hurricane Heart's legacy would live on in more ways than one. Its success had sparked a new age of cooperation and technological advancement. Research centers around the world began working together, sharing knowledge and resources to build on what they'd learned. This is just the beginning, Chief Engineer Tanaka said, looking at the plans for future ships. Each would be more advanced than the last, incorporating lessons learned from their battles with the Meridian Fleet. As the sun set on their victory day, the Hurricane Heart patrolled Earth's waters, its weather control systems creating gentle rain to help areas damaged during the invasion. The ship that had started as humanity's secret weapon had become something more, a symbol of hope, unity, and the incredible things people could achieve when they worked together. Captain Nakamura stood on the bridge, watching her crew prepare for their next patrol. They all knew that somewhere out there, other alien civilizations were watching Earth with new interest. But this time, humanity would be ready. The Hurricane Heart had shown them the way forward, not just in defending Earth, but in building a future where all nations stood as one. The ship sailed on under clear skies, its mission now greater than ever. They had protected Earth from one threat, but their journey was far from over. New challenges and adventures awaited, and the crew of the Hurricane Heart was ready to face them all.